Should Kevin pay off his mortgage? All right, so my man's got about $530,000 of liquid assets, and the mortgage I think is like $200,000 or so. And the interesting thing is the mortgage is a reverse mortgage, all right, which means he doesn't have to make any payments whatsoever. Interesting thing, part two, is his kids have no desire to live in the house, to take ownership of the house. They live in states not anywhere near him. So the question is, should he deplete his portfolio by roughly half to pay down a mortgage, which is growing and growing and growing? And I think right now it's like 7% is what the mortgage interest rate is growing because it's a reverse mortgage. I wouldn't. Now, you can make an argument, but Josh, don't you know? Let's take a look. So Kevin has got, I think he said his equity, where's my thing? Oh, right here. I think he said his equity, one second, let me just wipe this off of my t-shirt to get, hey, nothing on there, sweet. His equity is $500,000. I think his mortgage is $204. So he's got, what's that, $296 in equity. All right, $296 in equity. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pause it for just a second. What we're going to do here is we're going to say he's got $500,000 is growing at 3% a year. That's we're going to give his appreciation 3% a year. That might be on the high end. Who knows? But we'll run with it. And his mortgage is $204,000 growing at 7.5%. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our trusty calculator. 20 years, when my man Heavy Kevy is 20 years older, his value of his house will be worth $903, but the mortgage balance will be $866. So he still has a little bit of equity. Based on all closing costs and all that comes into case, his kids will not get any money off that account, most likely, off the house, most likely. And again, that assumes a 3% real estate growth and a 7.5% mortgage that keeps growing each and every year. All right, so you're like, well, so that's a no, that comes out to zero. His kids get no money off the house. Frankly, they don't even have to worry about it because you just give it to the bank, depending on what the real estate does. On top of that, he's had a chance to live in the house all these years, so he's got to live there rent-free. Now, his $500,000, on the other hand, is also growing at a rate, we'll just say 6% for simplicity. All right, so $500,000 is growing at 6%. That'll be worth $1.6 million just at 6%. Now, will he get that or not? I have no clue. But both of these rates are less than his interest rate on his mortgage. But the interesting thing is his mortgage is starting at such a low balance, right? And this is kind of, I don't want to say the law of large numbers. I guess you could say some of that. But the facts are this is such a small number that these numbers, even though they're growing less, are going to dwarf in terms of net at the end of the day what that mortgage is. Now, we could take that, and by the way, this is liquidity too. He has access to that money. And Kevin's a relatively, because he's got a lot of annuity income and Social Security, he can afford to be more aggressive with his portfolio. All right, so on top of that, so let's just say, so we can see he's basically got a net of $1.6 million. He's living to his kids, even Steven, with no probate to worry about, essentially. They'll get step-up basis, a little bit of IRA money, but not much, because most of it's in Roth and memory serves, but it doesn't matter. They'll still have to pay some tax on that, without question. And that does suck, but I guess I'm not. All right. So now let's do, on the other hand, let's say he pays off that mortgage of $200,000. So now instead of having, he'll have a house that's paid for, no mortgage, and he'll have $300,000 at 6%. A house that's growing at 3%. All right. Let's see what that looks like. With a net value of $1.865, he'll leave to his kids $900,000 through the house, which would be tax-free to the kids, I grant you. Now they're still going to net lose some of that from probate and whatnot. But anyway, at the end of the day, $903 and $962 in his portfolio. So that mortgage is going to cost him, I forgot what I said, was it 1.6? The mortgage, which is $204,000 now, cost him $265,000 less in net worth in 20 years. So from a pure calculation, that doesn't make any sense, Josh. Definitely pay off the mortgage. I say, no, don't pay off the mortgage. Because the mortgage, you have to pay an interest payment back. Could the markets give you a higher rate of return than 6? Could they give you a lower rate of return than 6? Yes, but it doesn't matter because it's all liquidity. We want liquidity. Now, as a portfolio grows, let's just say it grows to $1 million quicker than where our anticipations are. If you want to pay off the mortgage, you can. But in of itself, it's just liquidity is key. A paid off house is not liquid. It doesn't do you any good a pay off house until you can turn that equity into cash. How do you turn into cash? One of two ways. You sell or you borrow against it. That's it. Borrowing against it, he's already doing it. See, keeping his liquidity. Selling, that's a freaking pain in the ass. Moving costs, you got to move someplace. You might not like your new neighbors, new neighborhood. You might move to a big lib town where they're like, oh my goodness. In this house, science matters. You're like, oh, why did I move this neighborhood? Never mind the cost that go with it. Because you got to sell something, you got to buy something. There's costs on both sides. All right, it's a pain. It's a pain. It's a shock to the system to move, by the way. I'm telling you, I'm dreading moving from here. That's just a fact, Jack. So it's going to cost him, based in this case, $65,000 more, because he would have $204,000 will convert to $265,000 less he leaves to his kids. Less he leaves to his kids. Less he leaves to his kids. Is that the driving perspective of what you're trying to accomplish? I don't think so. What I would do, frankly, I'd say, okay, I'm just going to keep the reverse mortgage and let it be. Let the chips fall where they may. If my portfolio doesn't generate 6% a year and only generates 3%, I'm glad I still have the liquidity. If my real estate doesn't grow at 3%, only grows at 2%, no big deal. Yeah, they could leave they'll get it upside down, but it's a non-recourse loan, that reverse mortgage. And if you borrowed against it, then you got a payment you got to pay back. Don't forget, if you just borrowed against a home equity line or something like that, or you want to cash out refinance, that's a payment you got to pay back. At least reverse mortgage, you don't have to. This is not to argue you should get a reverse mortgage. This is to argue that I would not pay off my mortgage in this regard. No way. Liquidity is king. And I'm just telling you, man, $300,000 of liquidity with a paid off house might sound great in theory. But at the end of the day, if we can get by without having it, because he already has a mortgage. That's it. Now, would I say go take a mortgage and generate the equity? No, I wouldn't do that. But he's already got the mortgage. So the question is, should he pay it off? My answer is unequivocally no. Yeah, love your thoughts. God bless. Smash that like button.